This is the 2025 BMW M1000XR, and it might be the perfect motorcycle because it promises superbike performance with everyday sports touring comfort. Today we're going to ride on the highway to find out how comfortable it is. Then we're going to go into the city to see how it handles the day-to-day stuff. We're going to ride some beautiful twisty roads to see if you can have fun with this 200 horsepower sports touring missile. And then make sure you stick around till the end when I give my conclusion on whether this could be the perfect motorcycle. But first, let me turn this camera around and tell you everything you need to know about this 2025 BMW M1000XR. Alright, so first off, in case you don't know what the M1000XR is, it is basically BMW's S1000XR sports touring model, but then with the crazy 201 horsepower S1000RR engine in it. And then because this is the competition package with carbon wheels and some other bits we'll get into, this is, hold on, just take a seat, 37,000 euros. So yeah, definitely a very expensive bike, and we will treat it as such. So what does that M competition package mean? Well, first off, you have these beautiful carbon rims. These are definitely very expensive and they can be brittle, I know, so definitely want to be careful with these. You have some lovely carbon touches, so you have a fender over here. This is all exposed carbon in the black. We have a carbon hugger here on the back. And then finally, if we come around to the dashboard, there's some carbon trim up here as well. It also comes with a GPS-based lap timer. This one has a short windscreen. It also has the bar and mirrors, that's an option. It comes with these really, in my opinion, a bit gaudy bar and levers. I don't know, they're nice quality, but they give me a bit of an AliExpress vibe. And same can be said for these rear sets. They're a bit too flashy in my opinion. But they are fully adjustable. There's another nice carbon touch over here. And because it's the M1000XR, it also comes with the Akrapovic slip-on exhaust as standard. It also comes with electronically adjustable suspension, so you can adjust it all in the menu. And yeah, so now let's hop on and see what this is like to ride.
Let me flip this up so you can hear me better, hopefully. So the M1000XR on the highway, what's it like? Honestly, for a bike with such an amazing amount of performance, I don't think you could ask for more. You have cruise control, which I'm very happy about. The wind protection is actually pretty decent. So this is the shorter windscreen, but it still does a pretty good job of keeping the wind about up here and to my helmet. And then it's keeping the wind on the sides pretty much to my shoulders, which I'd say is fairly good, especially considering the fact that this is a very sporty motorcycle. Riding position wise, perfectly comfortable, nice and big fat handlebar. Backroom is pretty decent. I saw in the configurator you have an option for a taller seat and a shorter seat. So depending on how tall you are, you can change that. Vibration wise, the previous generations S1000XR were pretty notorious for being buzzy on the highway. And although when you go higher in the revs, so about 80 miles an hour or 120 kilometers an hour, you can definitely notice some buzz. But yeah, cruising around here at legal speeds, 110 kilometers an hour, 65, 70 miles an hour, totally fine, no issues. Roll-on power, as you would expect, like this, 6 gear. Give the throttle and you just fly past all the other cars. So if you're someone who's a little bit more of a lazy rider, who doesn't want to shift gears all the time, you're gonna like this very much. Nice long bend. It feels so incredibly stable through a corner like this. No issue. Oh, the sound. Woo. Definitely exciting, this engine it is. Oh, the only thing I don't like actually is this seat. And it's something that's always bothered me on the S1000XR. The seat on this bike is scooped. So you have the main rider seat, which is lower, and then you have the pillion seat, which is a lot higher. And they're two separate sections. The reason that bothers me is because you are forced in one position. There's less room to move around. So if it were to be, for example, one piece with the slope, you could scooch backward a little bit further. And on this, you are locked in place. And that's not the worst thing because it is so fast. It's nice to have sort of a backrest to keep you in place when you're accelerating. But yeah, for all-day comfort, it's definitely not the ideal setup. One of the reasons I was so excited to ride this M1000XR is because I always find the normal S1000XR lacking just a little bit. Because they took basically this engine but then detuned it, made it smoother, made it more road and torque and smoothness bias. I felt it was a little bit lacking in the character department. And if there's one thing I've found out over the past few years, is that super sport inline 4 engines do actually have a lot of character. And this one is no exception. When you're just pulling around town or sitting at a traffic light, it has such an angry grumble to it and a bit of vibration, and it just adds to the theater, to the sense of occasion, I'd say. Now, one of the first things that you notice when you hop on this and ride around town is just how amazingly easy it is to ride. So these are pretty awful cobbled streets, they're really bumpy, but the throttle response is so smooth. The engine is very docile, very linear. It's overall just a very friendly feeling bike, which is amazing considering the fact that it does have 200 horsepower. And if I just put it into road mode here, the suspension slackens off, the brakes are easy to modulate, the clutch you only need it when you're pulling away because you have the quick shifter, which is again another amazing part. The fact that this quick shifter works so well, even first and second gear, it's just smooth as butter. And BMW, in my opinion, have always been the best with quick shifters. It's pretty much like magic, the way they make it so seamless. And another nice thing is the exhaust note is actually pretty quiet. Once you do put it into road mode, close the flap, get rid of the pops and bangs. Yeah, it just does this so well. You have the nice big handlebar, which gives you a lot of leverage for riding around town like this. You have good visibility because you sit very upright. Now this is a town called Naar de Vesting. Basically means it's surrounded by water, and it was used as a defensive line during some early wars. So over here you can see to the right there's a big hill. Behind there's water. You see another bunker. Pretty cool, right? And because it's such an old town, you have these lovely historic houses. And the thing I always wonder when I ride around towns like this is how beautiful would this look without all the cars? I mean, I know all the people here, they need to park their cars somewhere, but it does take away from a lot of the charm and the ambience, I'd say. Oh, my spine. But yeah, honestly, I don't think there's much else to say. It's just as excellent as you could expect from a motorcycle with 200 horsepower.
Now, before we get to the Twisty Road section, there are a few things I want to mention. First off, on the regular S1000XR, you have an option for luggage here. On this M1000XR, you don't. Is that a huge deal on a 200 horsepower super sports motorcycle? Not really. Would it have been cool if BMW had added carbon side cases as an option? Definitely. The fuel economy is not great, because if I open up the menu here, since I picked this up, I've done 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not great. Is that gonna bother you on a 200 horsepower, 37,000 euro motorcycle? Probably not. Because this engine delivers 200 horsepower, when you are riding around town, it does get very hot. Oh. Also, to keep it kind of practical, BMW has added this little flap over here, where you can store your parking garage tickets or toll tickets. BMW always does this weird thing where they integrate the rear brake lights into the turn signals. I don't think I like it, looks kind of weird. That being said, let's hop back on and see what this is like on the Twisty Road.
It's sensational. The engine is so insane. You're of course never going to be able to use even just a small percentage of it legally on the public roads. But even on roads like this, which are a little bit more open than usual here in Holland, it just feels fantastic. Once you throw the suspension into sport mode, it's so sharp. The engine still has so much grunt down low. Quick shifter, of course, still works amazingly well. Suspension is just excellent. The brakes are just excellent. And the most important thing I've noticed is that changing the suspension mode makes it so much easier to turn in. So when I had it in the soft mode, it felt very tall up front, or kind of hard to tip in, even with the carbon rims. So I was like, huh, how does that work? But then I put the suspension into sport mode and it's just so sharp, so stable. Throttle response is still excellent. Sound is great. close to road up here, so it looks like I am gonna have to turn around. But yeah, for how big and still relatively heavy it is, it's 223 kilograms if I recall correctly. It's remarkably sporty. Of course, for the price you would expect it to be excellent, but again, it definitely delivers. Yeah, the only thing for me personally, this isn't a flaw of course, but it just has way too much power for me. And yeah, in general, I personally just prefer more usable bikes. So something like between 70 and 110 horsepower, I would say, is the sweet spot. But yeah, again, that's not an objective criticism. I mean, you are buying this bike because of the sheer amount of performance on tap. And boy, does it have some. To sum up, very serious performance, very, very capable, insanely so. Just not light-hearted or fun in a way a mere mortal like me can extract. I'm sure if you're an amazing rider who can do wheelies and skids and stoppies and knee downs everywhere, you will absolutely love the capabilities of this thing. But for me, this is not realistic, nor is that something I want to do on the street. So yeah, definitely prefer more accessible performance for myself.
So as you can tell by now, the weather has turned, it started to rain, so I'll keep this short. So has this 2025 BMW M1000XR held up its promise, delivering superbike performance with everyday comfort? Well, to be honest, totally. It's absolutely crazy to me how BMW have been able to blend the everyday comfort of a sports touring bike with the absolute craziness and character of a superbike. So for that I have to give it major credits. And yeah, I've never ridden anything like it. Is it a perfect motorcycle though? Well, that's of course very personal. To me, honestly, it's way too freaking fast. As you'll be able to see from the tires over here, I've barely been able to push it in the corners. And of course, if you open the throttle once in second gear, you're already flying, you're already way past the legal limits. So yeah, to me, it's a bit too fast, but you know, that's kind of what you sign up for. But that has gotten me thinking, what would be the perfect motorcycle for me? So that might be something worth investigating in the future. In the meantime, have a lovely day and be kind to yourself.